Hey everybody, Jim Perry here. Welcome to Backroads Metal Detecting. So, no metal detecting today. My son Jack and I are out on an adventure. We're going to be riding on the Elroy-Sparta Trail today. So we're starting in Sparta, considered to be the bicycling capital of the world. So this was the first rails to trails trail in the United States. It began in about 1967. The railroad bed we'll be riding on ran from the early 1870s to the early 1960s, carrying passengers and cargo. So this section of trail is about 30 miles or so long. Jack and I'll be riding from the north end of it in Sparta through Tunnels 3, which is a quarter of a mile long, and to Tunnel 2, which is 3/4 of a mile long. Very much looking forward to that and the colors that we see along the way. So about 14 or 15 miles to that point, and then we're turning around and coming back in this direction. So we're starting from the railway depot here in Sparta, heading in that direction. If we headed off in the direction in front of me, we'd be on the La Crosse River Trail that goes off to the west toward the Mississippi, and then you can connect and ride up north toward Winona. But for now, our plan is to head that way for at least an hour and a half through a couple of tunnels and come back in this direction and head home for the afternoon. So enjoy a little bit of the ride with us today. So part of the demise of this section of the railroad that ran through central Wisconsin was that this path took a 3% grade, which is about the maximum that a train can handle. And they needed to have a second engine in order to help the trains get through this section. Because of that, they ended up rerouting to a completely different area that was much easier to get through. For the bike rider and hiker and runner out here, it means hills. So we are in a long, gentle uphill now, heading toward Norwalk and tunnel number 3. So we'll catch up with you in a bit when we get there. So because we're in a really very hilly section of south central Wisconsin, in order for the railroad bed to come through here, they actually had to shave down parts of the hill and build up other parts. It might be hard to see by video here, but we are quite a ways above the field down below there and a long ways above the farm down below on this side. So this whole section straight ahead and behind me going up this hill was built all the way up here in order to be able to get the railroad to go through and to get it to as level as they could at 3%, which was again the maximum the train at the time could handle. So we have arrived at tunnel number 3. This is the northernmost tunnel on the Elroy-Sparta Trail, just north of Norwalk, Wisconsin. So, gonna get the flashlights out. We do have to walk through the tunnel here. It is a quarter of a mile to what you can see is the other side there. This is the smaller of the two tunnels that we're going to be heading to. The next one is much longer than that, and we will not really be able to see much of anything when we get in that one at all. So we'll turn the camera back on once we get out into the darkness of this one. So we're about halfway through this, being the shorter of the two tunnels. Everything is echoey, and what you can hear is the sound of water filtering through the top of it. This is the direction that we came from, all the way down there. This is where we're going. So Jack is just right behind me. I'm going to turn the flashlight off. Jack's going to turn his off so you can get a sense of how dark it really is in here. Turn off that. Turn off the light. So Jack is literally right in front of me here. So I think Jack will agree that sure felt like a whole lot longer than a quarter of a mile. Maybe it's because we were in the dark. So we are heading farther to the south. We'll be going through Norwalk in just a little bit, and then on to tunnel number 2, which is quite a bit longer than that. I think we're going to probably turn around at that point. We're not going to probably hit all the way through it on to Wilton. It's been a very light rain, steady since we started out, so I think we'll be heading partway into the big tunnel and then turning around and heading back to the vehicle. So, small building here. Information about life as a tunnel watchman in charge of preventing collisions and opening the large doors on either end of these tunnels here. So this watchman shack says it's the way it would have stood around the year 1900. So Summit Depot. So there actually was a village here. Interesting. So this is Norwalk, Wisconsin. Looks to be the main street over there. And we are heading further to the south toward Wilton in the longer of the two tunnels for the day. So the price that we paid for a long downhill from Summit down to Norwalk is a very long climb up to tunnel number 2, but we are there. Take a look around here for a quick bit and then turn around and head back. So Jack was right. I was sure that tunnel number 2 was the longer of the two. Clearly, this one is only a quarter of a mile. I thought it seemed like we'd walked forever through that other one. So glad we got a chance to get through that. We're not going to walk through this one. Wilton, Wisconsin is just down the hill on the other side of this tunnel. On a warmer day, we probably would have ridden down there, had a bite to eat, and then headed back. But it just spitting, not really raining, but kind of very, very light rain spitting here. So we are wet and tired and cold, and heading back to the north here in just a little bit. So this tunnel was carved in 1873, and the massive doors here were a way to protect it in the winter when the elements would have blown inside there and possibly damaged the walls of it. Again, Jack was right. This is the longer of the two tunnels that we visited today. We got quite a bit of a walk here. I would say it'll be 10-12 minutes to get through to the other side. So that little light behind me is a whole lot farther away than it really looks. Probably closer to about a 15-minute walk just to get through there. And I have to agree with Jack as well. Feels like we got wetter while we were inside the tunnel than while we're out in the drizzle outside here. So we've got the long downhill ride now back into Sparta, and get warmed up, grab something to eat, and head home at that point. So interesting tunnel, very, very long tunnel. Glad that we were able to get here today despite the cold and the wet. So we've only got 2.5, maybe 3 miles back to Sparta now. The trail's leveled off, and the sun is coming out. So after several hours of riding in the mist and the rain and getting soaked from the water falling from above us in the tunnel twice, it's now clearing up just in time for us to be done with our ride. It's okay. That's what happens sometimes. Glad to be out here anyways. Okay, so we are done. We ended up with about 31 miles today, maybe even slightly more than that, all the way up to Tunnel 2 and back. Again, it is clearing up. Looks like it would be a beautiful day for a bike ride now. We are tired, wet, and cold, and hungry. So we're going to head into La Crosse, grab a bite to eat, and make the rest of the way home about an hour and a half or so, maybe a little bit longer from here. As always, thanks for joining me again today. Not for metal detecting, but for an adventure. Have a good one. Hope to see you again soon.